Good morning, reef builders. I'm Jake Adams, and I hope you've enjoyed the steady pace of video releases that I've put out this last week. I am back in the studio early this Saturday morning because I want to film a lot of stuff this weekend to share with you over the coming weeks because I got so many topics. But this one is a really, really interesting, special one because when I went shopping for the basic sundries at Costco, I picked up a very special tool that I didn't think I was gonna need this soon, but I have a reason to use it now, and I'm gonna bring you along on a very special, unique process for making one of my corals feel better, and it's applicable to a lot of other things too. So, as you can see, there's quite a bit of corals in there now, and totally gonna give you a much better close-up look at that when I'm ready. But right now, what I wanna show you is I've had a lot of people bring me large used corals, and I've dipped some of them and I've inspected some of them, but I haven't been able to be like super duper thorough because some of these corals are kind of large. So as you can see, there's a nice assortment of corals in here. Oh, other way, there we go. Yeah, so we got a few corals in here, got a few anemones in here, and got a few kind of large plating cap colonies. So these are just some regular neon green guys, but this is actually a big old leaf of the Langsai cap. Now I have a big old one at home, but over the last few days, I've watched an infestation of nudibranch take root here, and I didn't deal with it completely right away so I figured that would be a really cool learning experience to share with you how to deal with this. I think the typical method would be just physical removal of the Montipora eating nudibranch. They're kind of large, so they're really easy to remove with a baster or with a brush, but there's a lot of small juvenile Montipora eating nudibranchs that are really, really easy to miss. So I'm gonna use a slightly different process to really thoroughly get rid of those guys. All right, so we're back in the workshop where you've seen a few unboxings, and I want to show you this very unique tool that I have used quite a bit for some unique applications, but for some reason it really hasn't taken off with the reef aquarium world in the way that I think it should. So this is a Waterpik. It is basically a miniature pressure washer that is used for flossing teeth. Or cleaning your mouth. And I started using these, well over 10 years ago. I think one of my first ever articles for Reef Hobbyist magazine was on using the Waterpik to disinfect and clean corals. So this is the reservoir right here, and this is basically the pressure washing side of it. There we go. And once it turns on, you just press that button right there, and it'll just give you like a tiny little miniature jet of water that you can use to clean and remove just about anything. Keep in mind that for this particular application, it is going to remove some of the tissue. But why I'm doing this instead of using a brush is because the brush is just kind of going to squish the nudibranch and maybe even like disperse their eggs. And with this, I can really deeply remove the offending parasites. So let's go get the colony and bring it over here to the hospital tank, which I have filled with some fresh seawater from that aquarium. There we go. Thankfully, this guy is pretty shallow. It's pretty narrow, so he doesn't need too much water. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun little exercise. Bring him over here to the tray and take him over to the workspace. So here you can kind of see like basically where the nudibranch have started eating. And what's cool about these guys, they're like macro parasites, so they're rather large. So if there's one thing that makes monopore eating nudibranch a little bit tough to treat, is that they love to munch on plating caps and plating montiporas, and they like to get in between the whorls, the folds, and it's really hard to get down deep inside of them if you have a brush. But with a miniature pressure washer, I can literally send a little jet of water just pretty much anywhere and eject those guys. And the thing is, if you can see the montipora eating nudibranchs on the top, it's almost guaranteed that there's going to be a healthy population on the underside. And actually, now that I've pulled this guy out, I can see even more little areas where the montipora eating nudibranch have started their grazing process. Is a little bit right there. I think I saw another one right there. So yeah, it's time to give this guy a nice good cleanse, a good pressure washing cleanse. And just go ahead and rid him of these unwanted hitchhikers. Okay, so the way that you use the pressure washer, or the Waterpik, is you just take this section right here and fill it with some seawater. Now, if you were trying to cleanse or treat an area of encrusting coral or moon coral that was receding from an infection, you might actually put a tiny bit of Lugol's in here just to help disinfect what's happening there on the coral. But this can be used, this pressure washing treatment can be used to remove all kinds of unwanted things, including algae, sponges, boring critters, and especially these macroparasites like montipora eating nudibranch. So let's get it set up. So this actually has a one-way valve here, right in the bottom. So you just fill it with water, and it only pulls from it once it's actually loaded, once it's actually turned on. There we go. Turn you on like that. Plug it in, and let's give it a go. Okay, so that there's actually different applicator tips for this particular, for the Waterpik. And right now with the regular one, I'm able to get the adults off, but the eggs are still on there. So I'm going to continue with the current tip, get rid of the adults, and then switch over to the smaller high pressure tip and see how that goes. So that's how you use the Waterpik as a miniature pressure washer. Honestly, there's probably easier ways to treat monopore eating nudibranch than to pull the entire colony out and pressure washing it. Probably the easiest thing to do is just to smother that infected area with some super glue. Not super glue gel, we want super glue because it flows a little bit better. And it's just gonna instantly smother the nudibranch and their eggs. But But the Waterpik as a miniature pressure washer has a ton of different uses. So when the corals came in here, I gave them kind of a cursory cleanse and mechanical removal of sponges and little bits of algae that I didn't want. But in the future, as I'm transferring corals from the holding tanks into display tanks, once I finally get some of those set up, I'm actually going to be using a more developed version of the Waterpik as a little mini station to keep everything nice and clean and just get as much of the unwanted hitchhikers as possible. So we will check in with that particular langside cap on another video. I have a really beautiful one at home, so this one is kind of like a working piece, if you will. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for tuning in. I just thought I'd put together a small little informational thing, and like I said, there's a ton of different uses for a miniature water pressure washer of our corals. This is just one of them, and I hope you find it useful, and you know, definitely share in the comments what you think you might be able to use a small pressure washer for. These are super cheap too. I think I got the dual pack with the Waterpik and the Waterpik Nano for like 60 bucks at Costco, but yeah, you're looking at 40, 50 bucks or something for just one unit from a CVS or something like that. So I hope you found this video informative. It's not the most entertaining to be cleansing parasites of our corals, but I think the concept of a pressure washer for our aquariums is a really, really cool one that we should leverage some more. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one very, very soon. Bye, guys.